Have you ever stared at that blinking cursor in a black terminal window and just felt a little lost? Maybe even intimidated? Well, we're going to change all that today. We're going to pull back the curtain and turn that confusing black box into one of the most powerful tools you have. So let's dive in and demystify your computer's secret language. I mean, really think about that for a second. What if you could just tell your computer exactly what you wanted it to do without clicking through a bunch of menus and windows? That's exactly what the command line is all about. It's not some scary, cryptic thing. It's a direct line of communication with your machine.
So the best way to think about this is like learning a new language. Once you get the hang of the basic grammar and some key vocabulary, you can start putting sentences together to express some really complex ideas. And trust me, mastering this language is a huge step up for anyone in data science, software development, or really anyone who wants to be in the driver's seat of their own computer.
So where do we start with any new language? Well, you start with the grammar, right? The fundamentals. These are the basic commands that let you find your way around. Because before you can actually do anything with your files, you first have to know how to get to them.
First up is pwd, which stands for Print Working Directory. This command is basically your digital compass. If you ever feel lost inside your computer's file system, you just type pwd and it's like a big "You Are Here" sign on a map, showing you your exact location.
So, for example, if you run pwd and you see something like Home Username Documents, you know instantly, no guesswork, that you're currently inside the Documents folder. It's simple, it's clean, and it's effective.
Okay, so now you know where you are. The next obvious question is, all right, what's in here with me? For that, we use the ls command, which is just short for list. This is pretty much the command line version of opening a folder on your desktop to see all the files and other folders tucked inside.
But here's where things get really cool. You can add what are basically adjectives to your commands. We call them options or flags. For instance, ls-l gives you a long list with all sorts of useful details like file permissions and sizes. And ls-a shows you all the files, even the hidden ones that your computer normally keeps out of sight.
So we know where we are, we know what's in the room, but how do we actually walk into a different room? That's where cd, or change directory, comes in. This is your main way of getting around. It's how you travel between all the different directories on your computer.
You can tell cd exactly where to go, like cd/path to directory. Or, and this next one you're going to use all the time, you can type cd ... to go up one level. It's like taking a step back out of the room you were just in. So, now we can navigate our digital world. Let's learn some words to interact with what we find.
Okay, so we've got the basic grammar of navigation down. Now it's time to build up our vocabulary, the commands that let us actually interact with and, work with the files we're finding on our journey.
Let's say you just want to quickly peek inside a file without opening a whole text editor. You've got a few great options here. The cat command will spit out the entire contents of the file right onto your screen. Now, if it's a huge file, that can be a lot. So that's why we also have head and tail, and they do exactly what they sound like. Head shows you the first 10 lines, and tail shows you the last 10. This is an absolute lifesaver when you're looking at log files. Now, get ready for one of the most powerful words in the entire Linux language, grep. You should think of grep as your own personal, lightning-fast search engine that works on the contents of your files. It can find any piece of text in any file you point it at. It's amazing.
And here's where it just shines. Imagine you've got a massive log file, maybe thousands and thousands of lines long, and you need to find every single line that contains the word error. With grep, it's just one simple command. This is a total game changer for debugging code or analyzing data.
So we've learned some grammar, we've learned some vocabulary. Now it's time to write poetry. This is where we start combining our simple little commands to do incredibly complex and powerful things. This is where the magic really happens.
And the key to all this poetry is just one single character, the pipe. It looks like a vertical bar, and what the pipe does is, well, it's kind of magical. It takes the output from the command on its left and funnels it over to become the input for the command on its right. It lets us chain commands together in a powerful sequence.
Let's just build one of these pipelines right now. So first, we can run the history command, which shows us a list of all the recent commands we've typed. Now, let's pipe that list over to grep sudo. See that? Now the list is filtered down to only show the commands where we used admin privileges.
Okay, final step. Let's pipe that filtered list over to wc-l, which is a little utility that just counts lines. And boom, in one single line, we've asked and answered the question, how many admin commands have I run recently?
And if you want to see just how elegant this can get, take a look at this beautiful line of code. We're not going to break down every single piece, but you can see it starts with our history command. Then it gets piped through a series of tools that cut up the text, sort it, find the unique entries, and then sort it again. And the result? A perfectly organized list of your most frequently used commands. That is the poetry of the command line.
All right, we've seen the power, we've seen the poetry. Now let's get a little nerdy for a second and peek behind the curtain. Let's do some linguistics to understand why some words in this language are just built differently than others.
Here's a question for you. Have you ever wondered why cd, the command we use to move around, is fundamentally different from ls, the command that lists files? I mean, they feel kind of similar when you use them, but under the hood, there's a really important difference.
And the answer comes down to the difference between built-in commands and external programs. See, a command like cd has to be baked directly into the shell itself. Why? Well, because its whole job is to change the shell's current state, your location. An external program, which runs as its own separate thing, just can't reach in and change the shell like that. But ls or grep, their job is just to perform a task and report back the results, so they work perfectly fine as separate external programs. It's a really clever design that keeps the core small while letting you add endless new tools.
So why does any of this matter? Why go through the trouble of learning this stuff? Well, because what you're really learning is a set of superpowers. You're getting the efficiency to handle massive amounts of data with just a few keystrokes. You get the power of automation to turn any repetitive task into a simple script. You get direct, unfiltered control over your computer. And, so important for science and data work, you get perfect reproducibility.
Look, we've really only scratched the surface today, but you now have the fundamental building blocks, the grammar and the vocabulary of the command line. You can navigate, you can inspect files, you can search, and you can combine commands into powerful pipelines. That intimidating black box, well, now it's a canvas. So the only question left is, what will you create with it?